Today, we'll be working on a nail like this one, and it's perfect for demonstrating how to achieve a clean underside when there is no free edge at all, when the nail is completely short, at zero length. For example, like mine here, a damaged nail, or when your clients come in with very short nails. Or when you need to cut down the length because, for instance, the nail curves down too much, or grows too far upwards, a clearly pronounced ski jump nail. In such cases, you absolutely need to remove the free edge. But then the question is, how do you build an extension on upper form so that the underside stays completely clean, with a smooth and beautiful finish, without a lot of filing, without risking to injure your client, and so that it's quick and efficient? First, we choose the right size and shape of the upper form. I explain and show this process in detail in my course. I've already selected the correct form here. We'll be building a short length, so this one is ideal. You also need to prepare the form, which I've already done. I cut off the factory edge of the form, not because it doesn't fit. For comparison, I'll show you an uncut one. It does match the cuticle line quite well, maybe just slightly overlaps onto the skin, and that part would need to be trimmed anyway, but that's not the only issue. You also need to cut it because, if you compare them, you'll see that the factory edge isn't always clean enough to give you a perfect, precise imprint under the cuticle. The plastic itself is good, nice and soft in the cuticle area, but if you want your work to look cleaner, that frayed edge will get in the way and needs to be removed. So, I've already selected and prepared the form. Now I'll show you how to apply the product and place the form to get a perfectly clean result right under the cuticle. The very first thing we need to do is try the form on the nail and make our markings. It's always a bit easier to do this on a client or a model than on yourself, but that's okay, I'll show you anyway. Mark the growth points on both sides, and then mark exactly where your natural nail ends and the free edge would start. This is what your markings should look like. You can also mark the length of the free edge if you want. I didn't mark it this time because I already know I'll be keeping mine super short. So, what's next? Now we start laying the product into the form. We'll be working in 2 steps. First, we create the free edge, we make it fully ready, exactly the way we want it to be in the final result. Make sure it has the right thickness, especially along the side walls. Just push the product gently with your brush, almost like you're drawing a French tip along the marks you made earlier. Then, stretch the product slightly toward the middle of the form, blending it into nothing. Right here, in the growth points, you absolutely need to have some product. But don't use too much. It should be just a very thin layer, so when you place the form on the nail, you don't end up with extra bulk there. This will help avoid lifting, keep the form from spreading too wide, and make sure the nail doesn't look too wide in the end. Once you've laid down the product, flash cure it under the UV lamp for just a few seconds. After flash curing, we move on. Take a small bead of gel, just enough for building. It should be a bit less than what you'd normally use in classic techniques, because here you won't be filing anything down later. But it still needs to be enough to create a short extension or a short reinforcement. How do you check if you have the right amount? When you place the form on the nail to test it, let me show you on another one. Look at the nail from the side. You should see that you'll end up with about 1 to 1.5 millimeters of thickness. So, that's exactly how you place the gel in the form. The stress zone, the highest point, where you need the most product, should be about 1.5 millimeters thick. Now we place that bead of gel right where we marked the end of the natural nail. From there, start spreading it across the form. Make sure to work the product carefully into the side walls too, so there's enough material there for strength. Toward the very edge of the form, thin it out to almost nothing. Just a very light layer. Don't worry if you push too much product toward the sides. It will naturally flow back toward the center as it levels, so you won't have any extra bulk there. Next, we'll move on to placing the form onto the nail. First, we apply the base onto the nail. Use a normal, medium layer, not too thin, so it provides good cushioning. Make sure the base fully covers the nail plate, all the way under the cuticle and along the side walls. Then we cure it under the lamp. After applying the base, we place the form onto the nail. Position it at a 45-degree angle near the cuticle, lower it down to the growth points, and flash cure with the UV lamp just at the cuticle area. When you turn the finger over, you'll see something like this. If you use too much gel, there might be extra under the nail. But since we already did the first step of laying the product, we already have enough material for proper thickness, so any excess can be easily removed with an orange stick. If there's a lot of gel, you can start by using a brush to remove the extra. Just clean it up, make sure it's neat, and then cure fully in the lamp. Also, always check the sides to make sure the growth points are fully covered. If something doesn't look right, use a brush to add a bit more. Slide the finger to the side and add from the right or left as needed. After full curing, we remove the form. Look, here's the imprint we have under the cuticle. I'll show you a close-up in macro, but everything looks clean and neat. Now, what we need to do is remove the sticky layer from underneath the nail. And file the free edge. That's it. No need to file underneath, and barely any filing on top. Just refine the free edge along the shape of the form. I've removed the sticky layer. Now, what should you do next? If you have any adhesions to the skin, gently lift them off with an orange stick. Then we move on to filing the form. What are we checking here? The side parallels, the shape of the nail, make small adjustments as needed. It's a bit tricky to show under the camera, but I hope you can see it clearly. File the free edge along the form. And that's basically it. The nail is ready, now we'll just finish it with a top coat. Our main challenge was gel flowing under the nail. We needed to create a perfectly clean underside, and here you can see how we did it. The nail is beautifully shaped. You can see that it's thin, but the thickness here is more than enough. It also depends on your materials, they need to be really firm for modeling. Even in this thin layer, the nail is extremely strong. It barely bends, you would need a lot of force to flex it. Now, let's finish everything with a top coat, and the nail is ready. I'll also show you a close-up so you can see how everything looks near the cuticle after removing the form. Here's our nail, just after taking the form off. And here's what was the biggest challenge, creating a clean underside when there's absolutely no free edge. I'm showing you the underside we achieved. What you need to do is, choose the right form, lay the product into the form correctly, and place the form using the proper technique. Then file the free edge, and your nail is completely ready. We cover our nail with top coat and send it to cure. Look, here's our final result. Here's our beautiful underside, clean, with no filing at all. And these are our thin, strong edges. Perfect shape. Quickly. Without complicated product placement, without filing guides, without any dust, without wasting extra product, and without losing time. If you want to learn how to work just as quickly and cleanly, achieve perfect architecture, spend minimal time in product, and make your work truly stand out from other nail artists, because not everyone can master this technique at such a high level right now, then DM me on Instagram. I'll tell you all the details about my online course. Many of my students have already completed the course and now create these beautiful nails for their clients at high prices, working much faster. So now you have the chance to be one of the first to work this way. Being first is always better, because there's much less competition. If you've been thinking about this technique for a while, or just saw it now and want to learn, don't hesitate, DM me and come learn. I'll also show you a close-up so you can see what we achieved. Perfect architecture. Perfect parallels. Growth points fully covered. Nothing is showing through. Everything is even. A beautiful natural arch, and the edge, which we didn't even file extra. That's it. This is how you can work with upper forms. Want to learn how to do the same? Come join my training.